Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have a couple of alien encounter stories that are very weird, folks. One, a daylight encounter where this woman encounters a very tall man who says that he's an alien, and the other, an alien abduction encounter where this woman encounters these three blue female alien beings. We'll read the first account first. Woman at Disneyland told telepathically by tall man that he was a Venusian on vacation. Let's get into the account now and read exactly what happened by reading this brief blurb first. The man was very tall and realized he was scaring her. He told her not to be afraid, that he was a Venusian and was there on vacation. This happened in Anaheim, California in 1965. It was also daytime. Let's get into the full account now. A family was vacationing at Disneyland and was in one of the small shops, oogling the merchandise and deciding whether to make a purchase. The wife heard someone say, "Hello." She ignored it. "Hello?" again and again. She straightened up and looked around. No one was there except her family, the clerk, and a customer being checked out. The voice again, "I am speaking to you." She stepped back and rolled around. A person who hadn't been there before stood before her, tall, with very strong facial features and large, pointed ears. She was being contacted telepathically and felt frightened. From what she basically just said, folks, she sounds like she basically saw a very tall-looking elf, literally like out of the Lord of the Rings, or literally a Vulcan from Star Trek, especially with the telepathic abilities he apparently wielded as well, folks. So it sounds very fascinating, but let's read more of the article now. The man was very tall and realized he was scaring her. He told her not to be afraid, that he was a Venusian and was there on vacation. Her husband was still blissfully unaware of his wife's state and was bending over to look at the display cases. By this time, I was terrified because I had never encountered anything like this before, and I was trying to get my husband up, to try to do what am I doing? Am I losing my mind? By this time, I got him. He's going, "What's wrong?" And I said, "This man here." And by the time I got him up, the man had vanished. Out the door, vanished, or just vanished. So indeed, folks, like with other cases of people encountering cryptids and alien beings, the very moment the experiencers take their eyes off these beings, when they look back, they're gone. So, that's another corroborating bit of information, folks. By the way, the source of this information comes from Michael D. Sword's Grassroots UFO Albert S. Rosalius. So once again, we thank Albert S. Rosalius and his friends for providing this story, folks. But in this account, it seems like it could basically be very well be an alien encounter, or maybe this woman was hallucinating. Not that she didn't see this man, but maybe somehow she was basically hallucinating. The voice the experiencer was hearing in her head, plus the odd features of the pointy ears on the man as well. But remember, folks, this was in 1965, 1 year before Star Trek would basically premiere on TV, so she had no idea what a, Vulcan would look like, and I doubt that this had any way at all affected her viewing of this man, folks. And basically noting the odd features about him. Even the telepathic voice, folks. Now, if this happened after Star Trek had basically premiered, that somehow that TV show played a hand in this encounter as well. Maybe I would say that basically the fact that she knew about Star Trek and Vulcans, that maybe somehow this entity used that to manifest in front of her. Maybe. Either way, folks, let's move on to the next story. Female experiencer recalls and describes her interesting alien abductions. This is yet another alien abduction story, but in this one, like in others we read about before, folks, apparently the experiencer, says that these experiences she found very interesting. So, let's hear her full account and read her experience. But first, let's read this brief excerpt from her story first that sets the mood. They spoke to each other and me through thought. The next thing I remember, I was still on near the table and I felt very sad and was crying. I don't know why. Indeed, folks. Apparently this is some of the things that she remembered at that point in the story. Either way, let's read the full account now and hear exactly what transpired. I am a 58-year-old professional woman of color who has had visitations since I was a child. I know what happened to me and only want to discuss my events for research purposes. I recently read your book, Alien Disclosure, Experiencers Expose Reality. Wow, very interesting reports. The first incident happened at night in 1986. It is still a vivid memory of waking up on an examination table with several aliens of different heights around me under a bright light. At first, I didn't feel afraid, even though I knew I was not at home and believed I was on a spaceship. I thought I had been there several times before. They spoke to each other and me through thought. The next thing I remember, I was still on near the table, but I felt very sad and I was crying. I don't know why. There are several reasons why she could have been crying, folks. Perhaps these alien beings had done something to her mentally that basically made her feel at peace, and when they were done, this sudden, departure from her mind, this sudden emptiness, after whatever these beings did to her to keep her calm, perhaps, after they were done with this procedure, perhaps it made her feel as if she were alone, and this is why she was crying. Or these alien beings performed some sort of surgical operation on her, and she was crying because she felt violated by them. But because they erased her memories of this event, she didn't know why she was crying, but on some level, she still felt it. Perhaps that's why, folks. Either way, let's now get back to the article. When I woke up in the morning and went to work, I felt uneasy and nervous, which is not my nature. I was casually discussing the incident with a coworker to further calm myself down when another employee who had come in started listening to what I was saying. Suddenly, she became very excited and said she was there also and saw me on the exam table. It freaked us all out, and we stopped talking about it. I was a deputy director at this agency, and I remember the name of the coworker who also saw me. So it would seem our experiencer here is just one victim of a mass abduction sighting that took place the night before. That's what it seems to me, folks. But I have to ask, does this experiencer remember any other people that were present at the incident? I mean, the woman here says that she saw her on the exam table, so it makes me think that there were other victims of this abduction nearby. So I have to ask, she did not see her fellow employee there as well? I have to ask why she didn't, folks. Maybe these alien entities were really messing with her mind and basically, maybe erasing things that she wasn't supposed to see, but yet this other person did. It's just me basically thinking about that, folks. Either way, let's read more of this story, folks. Somehow I believe that the second incident is connected to the first one described. I lived in Queens, New York, and had several visitation memories from that location as an adult. The one I will discuss happened around 1993. I woke up in the morning, and there was a stillness in the room that had me feel uneasy. I had 2 dogs at the time, and neither one was in the room with me, which was strange. I stepped off the bed, and everything that had happened to me that night before came back in a rush and extremely detailed. I woke up to see very alien-like people entering my bedroom. I was not afraid at first because the first person who entered the room was my GP doctor, whom I saw regularly. The second he appeared to come in, he stepped to the side and there were several aliens who also entered. I immediately became scared, and the next thing I remember was being pushed up against the wall in my room and one of them trying to look for something through my private area. My doctor seemed to be gone as I was calling out for him, but the other aliens were on my left side and were talking calmly and telepathically to each other. There were about 4 or 5 of them in the room, and by their faces, some were female. They all seemed to be some type of doctor, medical staff, and wore white-type clothes. The ones on the side were about 6 feet, very slender and almost angelic looking, with minor interest in me. There is more graphic detail to this, but for the sake of space, in the end, the alien found what he was looking for and removed it. I blacked out and then woke up. As stated earlier, I have not had any further incidents since then. Thank you, H. So indeed, folks, this woman had a very harrowing encounter, and she found it very interesting. But it sounds like she basically found this to basically be, somewhat intrusive. Well, at least a bit, folks, because it does sound like basically it didn't traumatize her, but she was certainly afraid of this incident. But the article title pretty much said that she found it interesting. Yes, it was an interesting incident, folks. I mean, it is interesting, but also it was a terrifying account for this woman. But I would have to ask, would you be willing to basically have this again? It sounds almost like she would there, folks, but at the end of the day, it was still a terrifying experience for this woman here, and I imagine she doesn't want to go through it again. So, what about all of you? Do you think it's real? I think it could be. But we're at the end, folks. So please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video. So be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.